I've been a clinical psychologist for over 20 years, and I've learned there's a specific kind of silence that walks into a room before a person does. That afternoon, Jessica stepped into my office looking put together. Cream blouse, neat ponytail, structured bag held like armor. And then she sat down and whispered, "I can't forgive myself. I can't get past what I did when I was 19. The way her voice fractured on 19 told me she wasn't talking about a mistake. She was talking about a life sentence. My name is Dr. Evelyn Moore. I'm in my late 40s, blonde hair to my shoulders, glasses, formal clothes, and a steady voice I've practiced not to use as a shield but as a bridge. I've heard plenty of painful stories, but Jessica's stayed with me because her guilt wasn't floating alone. It was tied to something millions of women understand, the invisible race. The one where every engagement, every promotion, every baby photo feels like proof you're falling behind. My office was warm and quiet, lamplight soft against the walls, 2 armchairs facing each other, a tissue box on the side table like a small, silent agreement. Jessica sat on the edge of the chair at first, then forced herself back as if she'd been caught needing comfort. Her hands never stopped gripping her bag strap. "What made you come in now?" I asked. "I'm tired," she said, and then let out a sharp little laugh. "Not weekend tired. Tired like I don't recognize myself." I watched her eyes flick to the framed coastal print and back to me, as if she needed to check whether I'd hate her before she spoke. "I compare myself to everyone," she confessed. "Constantly. If my friend gets engaged, I'm smiling and hugging her and thinking, that's another thing I didn't do fast enough. If a coworker gets promoted, I clap and my stomach twists. If my cousin posts her baby, I feel embarrassed, like the universe is pointing at me and saying, 'Look, she's behind.'" "Behind," I repeated softly. "Who used that word first?" Her jaw tightened. "My mom." That answer came out like it had been waiting years for air. "Jessica's mother," she explained, "kept score of everything. Grades, weight, social status. If I got an A, it was, why not an A? If I got an A, it was, your cousin did it in honors." Her father was physically present but emotionally absent, the kind of man who made his wife the law and called it peace. "I left home," Jessica said, "but I took the ruler with me." "What ruler?" I asked. "The one that measures whether I'm a real adult," she snapped, then softened, ashamed of her tone. "Marriage by 30, house, kids, a better title, more money, a better body, like there are checkpoints, and if you don't hit them, you're defective." "And when you feel defective," I asked, "what do you do?" Jessica's mouth tightened. "I punish myself." Then she went still, as if she'd stepped too close to the thing she didn't want to touch. "And the guilt you mentioned," I said gently. "What you did at 19, how does that fit in?" Her fingers went white around the bag strap. "I can't talk about it," she said quickly. "Not yet." I nodded. "We don't have to, but we can get curious about why your mind keeps returning there." Her eyes flashed with something harsh. "Because I deserve it." That sentence sounded rehearsed, like a rule. "Who taught you that mistakes should come with a life sentence?" I asked. Jessica looked away so fast it was almost physical. "My mom," she whispered again, and the room felt heavier for it. She left that first session with her posture intact, but her eyes pleading at the door. "If I tell you what I did," she asked, "will you hate me?" "No," I said, "but I will take it seriously." The next week, she came in looking more exhausted, phone clenched in her hand like a threat. "Someone messaged me," she said. "Who?" I asked. "A girl I haven't spoken to in 12 years. Jessica swallowed hard. "Hannah." She showed me the first line only, then pulled the phone back as if she'd exposed herself. "I can't keep pretending it didn't happen," the message began. Jessica's breath shook. My body started shaking when I saw her name. "Your body remembers," I said quietly. Jessica's laugh was bitter. "Oh, it remembers." I waited, then asked, "Tell me about Hannah." Jessica's face tightened with a mixture of resentment and old grief. She was my best friend freshman year, effortless, pretty, smart. Everyone loved her. Her voice dipped. My mom loved her. The anger in her eyes sharpened. She compared me to Hannah constantly. "Why can't you be more like her?" Hannah will go far. Once she said right in front of me, Hannah is going to be someone. And what did that make you believe about yourself? I asked. Jessica swallowed. That I was the other one, she whispered. Not chosen. Then, finally, the secret cracked open. I lied, she said. 2 words. A decade of wait. I said Hannah cheated, she continued, voice trembling. In our writing seminar, she won a scholarship, and the professor adored her. And my mom was proud of her like she was her daughter. I couldn't stand it. Jessica's breathing sped up. I told the department assistant Hannah plagiarized, that I'd seen it. I didn't have proof. I stayed steady. But inside, I felt the story align into something painfully clear. The invisible race had taught her that winning mattered more than truth. What happened after that? I asked. They investigated, Jessica whispered. They pulled her scholarship. She lost her internship. She left school that semester. Her voice broke. People believed me because I was the nice one, the reliable one. I became that girl so they'd believe me. Tears slipped down her cheeks, slow and silent. And then my mom finally looked at me like I mattered. That sentence hit the center of the room like a stone. The pain wasn't only what she'd done, it was what she'd been rewarded for. Jessica's face contorted with disgust. She congratulated me. She said I did the right thing. She said, some people look perfect, but they're not. I let the silence hold the truth. Then I said, calmly, Jessica, what you did had consequences. We won't pretend it didn't. But punishing yourself for 12 years doesn't repair anything. It just keeps you trapped. Her eyes flashed with anger. So I'm supposed to forgive myself and move on like it's nothing. No, I said evenly. You're supposed to face it like an adult, not like a punished child. And that includes repair where repair is possible. Repair, she repeated, like she didn't know the word belonged to her. I nodded toward her phone. Hannah's message is a doorway. Jessica looked sick with fear. I don't deserve a doorway. I tilted my head. Who benefits from you believing that? I asked. She froze. Then very quietly, she said, my mom. People who keep score love when you stay in debt, I said, because then you keep chasing approval. Over the next sessions, we did 2 things at once. We worked with the past, what she did, why she did it, what it cost. And we worked with the present, the ruler she kept using to hit herself. I asked her to describe that ruler as if it were real. She closed her eyes, swallowed, and said, it's metal, cold, etched with numbers, 30, 31, 32, and words like wife, mother, director, homeowner. Every time I don't have one, it burns. And who handed it to you? I asked. My mom, she said. Then you can stop holding it, I replied. The turning point came when Jessica brought in an old email thread she'd dug up. She placed it on the table between us like evidence. The subject line included Hannah's name and the words, Academic Integrity Review. Jessica's voice shook with anger as she read a line aloud. They wrote, we found insufficient evidence, and they still took her scholarship. She looked up, furious. They knew there wasn't proof, and they still did it because it was easier. She was angry at the system, angry at her mother, angry at her 19-year-old self. And for the first time, the anger wasn't poison, it was clarity. I want to tell her, Jessica whispered. I want to tell Hannah the truth. Not to relieve your guilt, I said gently, but to return what doesn't belong to her. Jessica's eyes widened, and she nodded slowly, understanding. Hannah had carried shame as if it were hers. Jessica could finally take it back. She drafted a message and brought it in to read aloud, hands shaking. Hannah, I accused you when I had no proof. I was jealous and insecure. I'm not asking you to make me feel better. I just need you to hear the truth. You didn't deserve what happened, and I'm sorry. If you want no contact after this, I'll respect it. When she finished, she looked like she might break, but her posture was different, more adult, less like a girl begging for mercy. She sent it. Then she did something else, something that made me almost prouder than the message. Her mother texted her a screenshot of an engagement announcement with a passive little caption that felt like a slap. Time flies. Jessica called her. My mom said, well, did you see it? Jessica told me, voice tight as she repeated it. Another one settling down. And what did you say? I asked. Jessica swallowed. I said, "You need to stop doing that." Her mother played innocent, of course. "Doing what? I'm just making conversation." Jessica's voice steadied. I said, "You're comparing me. You've compared me my whole life, and I'm done. Don't call me behind. If you can't talk to me without making me feel like a failure, we can talk less." Her mother went silent. Jessica looked at me with tears in her eyes, but her jaw was set. "I felt guilty," she admitted, "because she's my mom. Guilt is the leash," I said softly. A week later, Hannah replied. Jessica came in pale, phone in her hand. She read it aloud, voice shaking. Hannah wrote that she'd spent years questioning herself, carrying shame like it belonged to her. She wasn't writing to comfort Jessica. She was writing because the truth mattered. She asked for space, but she said she was glad Jessica finally said it. When Jessica lowered the phone, tears streamed down her face. "I feel like I took a brick off her back," she whispered. "And yours?" I asked. "It's still there," she said, touching her chest. "But it's not cement anymore." That's what healing looked like for Jessica. Not a perfect ending. Not a sudden transformation into someone who never compares herself again. But a shift from punishment to responsibility, from racing to choosing. We worked on small, concrete changes. Moving social media off her home screen, unfollowing accounts that made her feel behind, stopping the morning scroll that turned her day into a scoreboard. We rewrote her milestones, not as motivational fluff, but as honest criteria she could live with. One day she looked at me and said, "I think I've been living like I'm auditioning." "Yes," I said quietly, "auditioning for approval." She nodded, eyes sharp with recognition. "And I'm done." The last story she told me before we spaced our sessions further apart was about a family dinner. Her mother made another comment. Purpose, real adulthood, the usual little knife. Jessica set down her fork and said, "Calm as winter. If you keep talking to me like that, I'm going to leave." Her mother laughed. "Oh, don't start." And Jessica said, "I'm not starting. I'm ending it." Then she stood up, thanked everyone, kissed her niece's head, and walked out. No shouting, no drama, just a boundary. When she told me, she smiled through tears. "I cried in my car," she said, "but it wasn't shame crying. It was clean. Grief, I thought. Grief for the years she spent trying to win love." Jessica's story is a reminder I wish more women could hear without having to suffer first. The finish line you're chasing might not even be yours. It might have been handed to you by someone who only knows how to love through pressure. And when you live under that ruler, you don't just lose peace. You start making choices out of fear, envy, and humiliation. And then you punish yourself forever for the person you became under that pressure. If any part of you recognized yourself in Jessica, the constant measuring, the dread when someone else announces good news, the feeling that you're behind even when you're trying so hard, please remember, you can return the ruler, not with a speech, with truth, with boundaries, with the quiet courage to stop auditioning. If this story spoke to a part of your life, take a slow breath. You're not alone. If you want, tell me in the comments which moment hit you the hardest, without sharing personal details. And if you'd like to hear more stories from my office, subscribe to the channel. Se você está passando por algo semelhante, lembre-se, ouvir histórias ajuda, mas não substitui acompanhamento profissional. Procure psicólogo de confiança. Title, up to 99 characters. Patient Jessica, 31. I lied at 19, and I've been punishing myself ever since. Thumbnail text, up to 45 characters. My mom taught me to keep score. Thank you, and see you next time.